Yes, sir. We're back on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel talking some MMA. Two-man booth here with my guy JBC talking a little MMA action. Nice big card for you. We've got Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. JBC, I saw your bets you posted in the Discord. I think we're aligned on a good amount of the card, at least from a betting angle, I think. But how you doing, man? How was last week? How we do last week?
Awful. Last week sucked. I feel like I think I came in dead last in the second round of the MMA final. It was like when Bo Nickel lost, I was like, all right, I was never winning this. So
yes.
And with Bo Nickel losing, it was just like, okay, I'm fucked.
And he didn't just lose.
He got killed.
He got like dominated. Yeah, he got dominated.
And now Rainier's gonna fight Whitaker.
Yes, and that will be very interesting because Whitaker's coming off of getting dominated, and Rainier's coming off of honestly like 2 dominations in a row. Somehow the toughest guy he's fought was Gerald Mearshart, has given him the toughest fight to date so far.
It just been nerves for him though. First UFC fight.
I think it was nerves. I think it was also a little matchup. Like Gerald, for at least a round and a half, could play with him on the ground. You know what I mean? Because he is an expert on the ground as well. That was why, though, I was like, Bo can take him down. Bo can at least survive on the ground. But, man, I didn't think about Bo on the feet just getting destroyed. And
he looked huge, too. De Ridder looked huge.
Well, we said it on the show. Like, the only guy who's knocked him out was like a heavyweight.
Like, he fought at heavyweight, yeah.
Yeah, so... Yeah, no, we didn't get that one right. Shout out to Big T. Big T had De Ridder in his core, so that was a sick call by him. He hated Bo, so shout out to him for that. JBC, I don't know if you saw, but me and Big T have a little battle/bet going for the first fight of the card that will kind of get us into this card. But me and Big T are on opposite sides. Do you know what the bet is? Did you see it in the Discord?
I did not.
So this is the bet. The bet is that if Big T wins, I have to go and have a meal at Wendy's of his choosing, that he gets to choose, and I have to sit there at a Wendy's and eat this meal, all gone. And that
gotta have JBC, dude.
Yeah, and if Big T loses, he's got to walk a mile barefoot.
Okay. I thought it was going to be him having to eat something he didn't want to eat. I remember.
No, because I wouldn't care walking a mile or 10 miles barefoot, and he knows that. So it's like we both have to do something we know the other one wouldn't like. So it's like me eating fast food for like the first time in 20 years will be something that I won't like, and Big T walking a mile barefoot, definitely something. Where the hell did... You said it in the chat. I wrote barefoot. Chat, go back and check. I wrote barefoot. Someone go back and check. It's barefoot. And then if the fighter's optimal, then we add ×2. So then I'll have to have 2 meals of Big T's choice, and Big T will have to walk 2 miles.
Me and Big T were on like a road trip in like rural California, and we stopped at like this gas station Mexican place, and I got him to eat like something really like
seafood, right?
Was it again?
Was it seafood?
It was seafood. It was some kind of weird seafood. It was like manta ray or something. Like it was. It was something weird.
You got him.
He liked weird. He liked it. He liked it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
It took a lot of convincing though.
Big T makes it sound like he has this like. Compared to like Uncle T, he has this like wide range palate and stuff. Like he doesn't. He's got like the normal like palate. He'll eat steak once in a while, but chicken, pasta, it's the same, the normal stuff. The seafood stuff though, I'm surprised you got him to eat that. I'm surprised.
Seafood is like my favorite thing in the whole fucking world, especially shellfish. So
yeah, seafood is not my jam. That's You're like my brother trying to get me to eat seafood when we go out. He's like, just try this. Just try this.
You should just try it. Just try it.
I do take a bite of it, but it's
you got to try everything. Like I'm never.
That's what he says. That's what he says too.
I'm never gonna say no to anything like, I may not order it again, but I'm going to eat it the first time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe one day I'll start trying more things, getting out there a little bit more. But either way, let's get back to this card here, because this is the fight that I was referring to. It's the first fight of the night. Got Brad Katona at 7,600, a plus 130 underdog on DraftKings versus Bekset Almakhan, 8,600 on DraftKings, and a minus 155 favorite right now on DK Sportsbook. JBC, which side? Because I didn't say which side I am on for this fight, and Big T's on, obviously, because we're split. So which side do you think Big T is on, and who do you like in this fight?
I think you're with me, Brad Katona. I like Brad Katona. It's my second biggest bet of the card behind the next fight. But I think that any disadvantage he has is not really going to be able to be taken advantage of by Almakhan, and he'll be able to eke out a pretty boring victory like he usually does. But yeah, I think it's a fairly boring decision that Brad Katona wins.
Yeah, Big T, he don't want the smoke. He don't want the smoke. He don't want the breakdown that I'm about to give on this show. So he's running scared right now. He's getting ready. He's getting his walking shoes ready, or barefoot, whatever he wants. He can wear walking shoes. It's fine. I don't care. He doesn't have to walk barefoot. But either way, I did write it in the chat, though. I will go look it up after and screenshot it. But to this fight, the last time these two guys fought, Bekset came in, I think, on short notice and had to fight Umar, if I remember correctly. And everyone will remember he knocked Umar down. He kind of stunned him real quick. And then Umar did what he does, and he just controlled him for the remainder, really, of the fight. And I think what happened a little bit was Umar came in super confident, trying to play with this guy a little bit, and the guy caught him coming in on an exchange. And he was like, nope, not doing that again. And he just took him down and just wrestle fucked him for the last 2 minutes, or 2.5 rounds, and won a decision. But Bekset did show that he is definitely talented. I mean, to make Umar have to do that, I think shows that you're not a slouch coming in on short notice. He looks like he's got cardio. He did show that he did reverse Umar once on the ground, where I was like, oh shit, that's really impressive. But to do that stuff over and over is just tough for someone like that. But he did show that he has skills on the ground, and he definitely has skills on the feet. The one reason I like Katona, though, and this is the funny thing about this whole bet, is I am not a Brad Katona guy. I hate him. I hate him. Dude, I've picked Brad Katona to lose in 3 of his last 4 fights. I picked him against Gibson to lose. I obviously he won that fight. I picked him against Armfield to lose. He lost. I picked him to win against Butler because he was going to win. Butler sucks. But then Gene Matsumoto, I loved Gene Matsumoto. And this is what's kind of swaying me, is he went in against Gene Matsumoto, who's a very talented, dangerous guy, dangerous on the feet, on the mat, just full danger. And he slugged it out with them. And not only did he slug it out with them, he gave as good as he got. And one of the reasons I always didn't love Brad Katona was because I felt like he was kind of hittable. He didn't do anything extremely well besides have good cardio. But that's why I kind of like him in this fight, is I think he's going to use that to his advantage. He has more fights under his belt, in the UFC. He's going to push a pace, and he's not going to stop. You know what I mean? He's going to stay in this kid's face. He's not going to let this kid just bounce around and kick him at range and do that shit. And both guys are, susceptible to getting hurt. But Brad Katona took some shots against Gene Matsumoto where they were swinging at each other. And I'm like, yeah, not everyone in this division could take those shots from Gene and live to tell about it at the end of the day. And he did. So he showed that he's a dog, and I'm betting him as an underdog. Not that I think he's going to roll this kid. I just think he's going to win a decision and do enough to win 2 out of the 3 rounds, probably.
There's not really many holes in his game. He's not super elite at anything, but like it's kind of going to be a big test for Almakhan to get past a guy like him, you know, just because, you know, it's kind of a gatekeeper role in the lower rungs of the ladder, where if you're not good enough to beat Brad Katona, you're not getting any further. So,
and I think that's why they gave it to him. They're like, okay, we gave you Umar, or you did us a favor by taking the Umar fight. No one wanted to fight Umar at that time, probably. You did us a favor. Now we'll give you someone who, you know,
more on
is
your
not
level,
amazing at anything that you could compete with and see what you got. So, all right, we're both on the Katona side. For DFS, what's your ownership like on Almakhan and Katona? Are you going to be like way over on one, or are you split in the field with these guys?
I'm under on both because I don't like Katona because he, you know, his inside the distance number is insanely high, as it always is, and he never finishes anybody. And Almakhan, I think, is going to lose, so I don't really like him either. So I'm kind of just going to be under and hope that the fight kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm going to be a little higher on Katona, obviously lower on Almakhan. The thing that I do like about Katona is I think he's going to mix up the wrestling. And so I think I'm going to be able to get, even if Almakhan gets up, it's fine. If I still can get a couple takedowns out of it from Katona, even if he doesn't control him for large amounts, that's still going to score okay in a decision where I think both guys are going to, or I think Brad's going to kind of stay in his face, because I don't think he wants to like let this kid just dance around with him. So I think he's going to have to push a pace. Or he's going to be in like serious danger. So I think he's a little bit better play than maybe we're giving him credit for. Even in the decision, he's shown, like the Butler fight, obviously had a ton of control time, but 108 in the decision win. The Gibson fight, 97 at 7,600.
The grappling upside is certainly there.
It's there. And even the Matsumoto fight, like, he was, even though he was having success on the feet at times, he was still mixing in takedowns just to throw Gene off, just to like keep him guessing. You know what I mean? And I think he's going to do that here, or at least try and do it, considering Almakhan did get controlled. It was by Umar, but he did get controlled for a good portion of that fight. So we'll see what happens.
I also want to point out is I do think that Katona's ownership is going to get depressed into like the nether realm, like low, because he's wedged between Valentina and JDM. Like nobody's going to play this guy. So there's that.
So that's what I was thinking. Big T said that he was going to get owned like 22, 25%. And I was like, so I'm on your side. He said it was going to be like 22%. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, Valentina's there, JDM's there. Those are 5-round fighters. You've got some other guys with better inside the distance numbers that are like cheaper than him too.
I think he's single digits.
Oh man, if he's single digits, then I'm totally fine with taking my chances with him. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I was kind of on your side, and Big T was like kind of throwing me off with that ownership. So I'm glad you're more on my side. I was thinking like 12 to 15%, but if he's single digits, like that's even better for me. So, all right, that's Katona, and I was just looking at the numbers on our cheat sheet. Oh, he was looking at Dan's numbers. All right, fine, Big T. Blame Dan. He's not on the show. Dan had something going on, guys, so he couldn't be here. But blame Dan because he's not on the show. Very convenient for you. Neither of you on the show, and you're blaming Dan. So that's all I'm going to say on the matter. Let's go to the next fight here. Another somewhat closely lined fight. I think the line did move a little bit in one's favor. Daniel Santos, 8,300 on DraftKings. The now underdog. I think at one time he might have been a favorite or a coin flip, but the now underdog to Jung Lee. Lee sitting at 7,900 and is flipped to a minus 142 favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook. Oh, 135 right now. 135 on DK Sportsbook for Lee. JBC, this was one fight that going into it, I wasn't like very confident on one side after I like watched both guys looked at some of their past fights and stuff like that. The line moving, I wasn't super confident. I think I'm going to lean the Lee side that he wins, but I kind of like the under 2.5. It's now minus 135, but I could see this fight not getting to the card. So I kind of like the under more and maybe staying away from the side.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that we're going to get a knockout in this fight. So they've both got some appeal in DFS, but obviously Jung Young Lee, now that he's favored at 7,900, I do think has he'll carry significant ownership, but I like him as a play a lot better. I also bet him pretty big, so I'm heavy on Jung Young Lee here. I know he looked like shit last time out against Hyder Emil, but on the road to UFC stuff, two knockouts within a minute. Like, he's clearly got, finishing ability. And, I really like him in this fight. I'm going to have Santos in DFS, but from a bet standpoint, it's all Lee.
Yeah, I think it's Lee for me too. I kind of lean his side if I got to pick a side. And he's the cheaper fighter on top of it. So the line flipped in his favor. He's the cheaper fighter. I think this is somewhat short for Santos stepping in maybe a couple weeks. But either way, Daniel Santos isn't someone that, like, I feel like is such a great fighter. But I think he's going to give us, I think they're going to give us a finish, like you said. So I see a finish, not super confident one way or the other. I think the under is my favorite play on this card. Are you going to be under on Lee from a DFS side, or are you going to be over on him? Because I know you like him for betting.
I'm probably going to be about in line with the field. The issue there, again, is that he's sort of near Valentina and JDM in price, along with Ion and Bukauskas. So it's like there's like 4 or 5 really, really strong options in that range, and other people other than him might also get squeezed. But if he ends up 30% owned, I'm not going to get there.
Yeah, I'm definitely not getting a 30% owned either. So if he gets there, then I will not be over on him. I bet I'll probably get to the field. I don't think he's going to get to 30%.
Yeah, I'm like 627 right now in my run.
Honestly, I was thinking of getting like 20%. Honestly, I think I could get 20% of both these guys.
But I'm also going to go 20 on Santos. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think this is one of those, I don't love doing this for every fight, but I definitely think there are certain fights where, like, when I'm not super confident on one side, these are the fights I like to get a little of both sides, especially when I think it finishes. I like the under. I'm not confident one way or the other. I want to make sure that I get a little of both sides here. So
this also is why Jung Young Lee line moves so much, is because of Santos.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Santos will still have power in his hands, but that does probably make you a little chinny.
I think too, the longer this fight goes, the probably more it leans Lee on top of it. So yeah, it's a good point to bring up. Stevie Boynton asked to make sure we look out for a good +3.5. We will, if we get to a fight we like.
There's a real obvious one.
I mean, we'll save it. Save it for when we get there. Save it for when we get there. But that is Santos and Lee. Let's move to the next fight. Some of the bigger boys here. Bruno Silva, 7,800 for Silva, coming off of 4 straight losses, 3 decision losses in a row. But some of them to solid fighters, on top of that. So you got to throw that out there. Against Marc-Andre Barriault, also coming off of 3 straight losses. 2 of them, though, are first-round knockouts here for Barriault. 8,400 for him in DFS. Bruno sitting at 7,800. First of all, JBC, do you like a finish in this fight? Because I think that's the first question we got to ask ourselves. And if you do, who do you think it is? Which side are you going to be heavier on?
Well, Bruno Silva missing weight obviously is suspect, and it wasn't like a big miss. Like, it was, he tried to cut it and failed by like a pound. So that's always suspect to me. The line on Barriault went up a little bit after that happened. We know he likes to swing. So I do like Marc-Andre Barriault to get a knockout in this fight. So I'm much heavier on him in DFS. I bet on him. I bet on him to get a finish. So obviously home turf also. I'm a fan of Barriault in this fight.
Yeah, I think I like him too. One of the things with Bruno Silva, like when you watch him fight, it just feels like he doesn't put enough out there. And against someone like Marc-Andre Barriault, who is going to at least try and push forward, stay in your face, and volume you up, right? Like, if there's a big score in DFS, I feel like he has the better chance of doing it because he can get there on volume on top of it, and also find a knockout. The more Bruno kind of fades, and stuff like that. And the fact that he missed, we all know, like when you miss like that too, you got to be like straight exhausted. You're trying to cut it, but you just can't do it. Like, so, I'm definitely on the Barriault side here. I'm going to be heavier on him for DFS. I don't like the way Bruno's looked in his last couple of fights anyways. So I'm kind of happy fading him. Even not that Barriault has looked amazing either. I just know what I'm getting with him. He's gonna at least go out there and push forward and try and get me a big score.
No bitch shit out of Barriault ever.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. He's gonna try and at least push forward and get there. So, I mean, this is dry. His chin is weak though. Silva can definitely slug, man.
But he's also he's a little apprehensive about doing it. Barriault is just gonna go.
Barriault's gonna like force but maybe that's why we should like I don't know. Is there an under here? What's like the under 1.5?
It's the same as the last one.
Plus 154.
The last one.
No, the under is 1.5 is plus 154.
Okay.
For this fight. So, I mean, but maybe that is a reason why we should like just the straight under 1.5 here at plus money. Like Barriault is gonna push the pace. Yeah. Like he's not going to be afraid of this dude, especially because, like we said, this dude doesn't throw a ton of volume out there. So I don't know, maybe an interesting look right there. But from a DFS side, are you going to be splitting these guys, or are you going to be higher on Barriault?
I am significantly higher on Barriault right now. I've got, let's check it out. I'm at 33% on Barriault and 20 on Silva.
Yeah, I'm going to be higher on Barriault too. We're in the same path there. Josh Lee, what's up, brother? Glad to have you back. That's not fun. Well, glad to have you back.
Why are you sleeping with your landlord?
Yeah, get out of there. Get out of there. Why are you sleeping with your landlord? We got Mitch Robb taking 1,000 free throws right now. Be there. This is an MMA show. Get the Knicks talk out of here. Get out of here. We don't need Knicks talk right now.
Celtics -6. Lock it up.
Yeah, Celtics in the under. Celtics in the under. Oh, I don't know if you bet the under, but I like the under and the Celtics. I like -6 and the under. Or 5.5. Yeah, 5.5.
Yeah, whatever, Steve. We know you got a better line. I don't give a fuck.
yeah, we suck. I got the 6 too, like JVC. Whatever. Let's go to the next fight on the card. JVC. This fight here. Okay, Navajo Sterling, 9,100 for Sterling in DFS versus Ivan Ruslan. 7,100 for Ruslan here, coming off of a decision loss to Cutelaba, where Cutelaba won the first 2 rounds, but Ruslan kind of in the 3rd round just controlled the shit out of him on the ground. Pretty much, I think he got him in like a front choke or something, and then just put him right to the ground and controlled him for almost like 3.5, 4 minutes of that 3rd round. And he got him down at the end of the 2nd round. He didn't win the 2nd round though, but I
remember thinking it was going to be a draw, and then it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I remember thinking like this might be, I don't know if it was a split, but I was like, I could see them giving it to Ruslan at the end. I
had bet on Cutelaba, I think, and I was like really worried about it.
I think we were all like heavy on Cutelaba that day, and I was definitely worried about it because I remember this fight, but he showed that he at least had better conditioning at the end, and he was exhausted. Like I remember him sitting on the stool before the 3rd round, and I knew Cutelaba was gassed, and I was just praying he was also like as gassed, and he looked it. But then when he got off the stool, you could just tell when they started fighting, he had a little bit more juice. Yeah. Cutelaba just had nothing by that 3rd round, which is classic Cutelaba. But now he fights another young guy who came in first UFC fight. He was 9,600 on DraftKings. I remember telling everyone, I'm not playing this dude. I'm fading this dude. Everyone wanted his big KO number. He was fighting Tokos, and he defended a bunch of takedowns, and they went to a 3-round decision. He scored 67 fantasy points, JVC. I'm sure people have a shitty taste in their mouth from watching that, but I think the UFC knows what they're doing, giving him Uzlan as his next fight, because he's going to slug it out with them. Urslan's going to throw with Sterling, and that's kind of what you want for a matchup for this Sterling kid.
Yeah, I mean, the first fight, he seemed really apprehensive, which, I mean, frankly, you're 5-0, you're in the UFC. I mean, the first couple rounds, he was just, he was winning, but he was kind of just not trying to chase the knockout.
Yes, and that's what he does, JBC. I watched some of his other fights, like his Contender Series fight. That's why I didn't like him, actually, was because I remember bringing it up. He kind of picks his shots to start very well and build slowly off of them. So at first it's like one shot, one kick, and it's just like snap, and then he'll move a little bit. Maybe two, he's like trying to not, tire himself out, even though he looks like his conditioning's okay for a big guy, but that could be some of it. But I noticed it, and I was like, he's kind of like a slow starting build-up guy, but he has power. So if you did connect on one shot, he could put you out. It's just he's not going out there to just steamroll you like Cutelaba. Like Cutelaba goes out there in the first round, and you're like, oh shit, he's trying to kill that dude in the first round. He might lose it after. He's not doing that.
Sterling, there's a lot of polish and patience in his game for a guy with only 6 fights. That's what I'll say. Like, I watch him, and he looks like the next big thing to me. Like, even like I saw one of his regional fights, and I saw the last fight, and like I wasn't as negative on him on how he performed in that last fight. I think he played it safe, but he was never really in danger or anything like that. Urslan's obviously gonna try and push the pace on him, and I think Sterling gets a knockout pretty quickly based on Uzlan being over aggressive. And so I really like Sterling in DFS, and I like the -110 inside the distance number for him. He's in my core for DFS. I'm playing him nearly 50%. So I'm real heavy on Sterling today.
Is he a guy that you would rank like in the 9K range? Is he your number 1 or 2 in the 9K range?
I mean, obviously Benoit's going to be 1, but he's 2.
He's 2 for you? Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like him more in this fight because of all the things you said about how Urslan's going to try and pretty much try and knock him out. I don't think he's going to be trying to take him down as much, even though it would be kind of the smarter move. I just don't think he has that in him, honestly. And if that's the case, Sterling's probably going to find a knockout if he's just coming forward, trying to go at him. So yeah, I'm with you on the Sterling side. I don't know if I have him second or third. Oh, I do think Jasmine has massive upside in the 9K range as well. But it's close for me with those two guys. She's got more like the takedown control, but also on the ground, she could just kill you and dominate you and put up a massive score. So I don't know if I have him second or third. It's pretty close between those two, but I do like him more this time out. I do think he gets a finish. I like the -110 inside the distance. Are you playing any Uzlan? Because he at least has a puncher's, he does have power.
I've got him 11%.
Yeah, and what do you think he comes in at? Because I think he comes in around there.
Yeah, so they're a little higher, probably in the teens.
Yeah,
because I think that the guys at the very, very bottom, your Andrade, Zahabi, Radtke, Uzlan, are all going to come in higher than you would expect, just because everybody's trying to jam in Saint-Denis. So
yeah, that makes sense. And honestly, the jamming him, I think you're going to see a lot of Bilal, and Sterling's got nice numbers. I think so. Yeah, people are going to try and play 1 or 2 of those guys just to just to fit those studs in there. So that kind of makes some sense here. I don't know if I'm going to play that much. I think he's going to have I think he's going to struggle finding himself getting inside on Sterling. Sterling's got nice
He's
kicks.
Not going to be able to hit him.
Yeah, especially if he's going head hunting. You know what I mean? He would have to go body first, and then I think he's going to struggle from there. So I'm on the Sterling side with you. I'm going to be heavier on him. Let's go to the next fight here. this is always one of those fights where you see the 8,200, 8K price tag. Ion Cutelaba, 8,200 versus Modestas Bukauskas here, 8K. And I'll just start with this one. Like I'm not really a Bukauskas fan. I don't really love his style. It's kind of just like, he likes to kick and he likes to stay at kicking range. He likes to circle, uses footwork a little bit more. And he likes to stay away from like firefights kind of in a way. He's a little more apprehensive about getting into those brawls, or he tries not to, unless he doesn't fear like anything coming back from the other side. It was like the Prochniak fight was like the one fight I can remember where he was just like, after the first round, maybe round and a half, he was like, oh, I can brawl a little bit with this dude. Like he's got nothing I'm afraid of, and I can take him down when I want to. And he kind of did that, and that's what you saw. But he likes to stay at kicking range. I think Cutelaba is not going to allow him to be comfortable. I think Cutelaba is going to back him up. I think he's going to pressure him to a point where Modestas Bukauskas is very uncomfortable. And then it's going to come down to, if he lands some big shots on Bukauskas and maybe he shoots and Cutelaba stuffs him or something like that because he's hurt, or Cutelaba shoots and we know Cutelaba has wrestling. So I think Cutelaba has the wrestling upside, and also he's got the aggressiveness to maybe put someone like this out, so I kind of like him here. I will say, the more this fight goes, though, like if it goes into the end of the second to the third round, it will favor Bukauskas, because Cutelaba shows he has nothing once it gets to that third round, especially with all the takedowns he's starting to shoot. So I'm on the Cutelaba side. I think I'm going to be much heavier on him for DFS, but it wouldn't shock me if Bukauskas won like a third round, when Cutelaba just gasses or something like that. What do you think, JBC?
Yeah, I'm with you on Cutelaba. I mean, we always love Cutelaba for DFS. He's the exact type of fighter you want. He's going to get in there. He's going to try and aggro takedowns. If that doesn't work, he's going to start swinging hammer fist. I'm playing Cutelaba almost 40%. There's just such heavy upside at the price tag that I don't really see a reason not to play him. Bukauskas, I'm still going to play 15 to 20, but the volume just isn't there. He's going to have to knock him out in the first round to be optimal. Totally on the table, but my thought process is that Bukauskas will try and run for a round, and then go for it, and that's not going to score. So I'm very much with Cutelaba for DFS. I bet on Cutelaba. That's the side I'm going with.
Yeah, the only thing about Cutelaba that is annoying is he will shoot shots from like far out. Like he'll just like get frustrated and just try and like shoot randomly from. So like if Modestas could stuff it, he could easily land on top. That's like the one way he could somehow like score big, is if somehow he catches Cutelaba coming in and like he gets on top. Yeah, head kick or something like that. So, but I agree with you. Like the volume,
which we've seen him do before. I think he did it in his last fight.
Yeah, no, it can happen. I'm just saying, like, it's got to happen perfectly. And Cutelaba is, again, like I said, he's not going to allow him to just stay at kicking range. He's going to force the issue. So whatever side you like, I think if you like the Bukauskas side, you kind of got to like that he's going to be put in spots where he's going to have to be a little more aggressive. So that is the one good point if you like his side. But we're on the Cutelaba side. I bet him. I'm going to be heavier on him. I do think his sub prop at like 10 to 1 is interesting on DraftKings. If he can get him down, which I do think we see some wrestling in this fight. So it's kind of an interesting prop I looked at. But yeah, that's Cutelaba and Bukauskas. Next fight on the card, 9K or 9,200 Jazz Deivacious on DraftKings here against Jessica Andrade, 7K for Andrade. Coming off a loss to Silva, which I think was a really tough matchup for her. Before that, wins against Rodriguez and Dern for Andrade. Jasmine coming off of the last win against Bueno Silva. Jasmine's one of those fighters. She can do a little of everything. We much prefer her though on the ground. Her striking isn't as good or as powerful as Andrade for sure. And she will tend to brawl at times. So that is the one fear about Jasmine that I have is she gets into a brawl with Jessica Andrade, because that's what she wants. Andrade wants to get in a brawl with you. She wants to swing, back you up against the fence, and just throw as many big punches as you can and hope her power wins out. And I do think she has the power advantage for sure against Jasmine. I don't think Jasmine has the big power, but what Jasmine has is that once she gets you on the ground, her control, I've been talking about this for like her last 5 or 6 fights now. Her control is awesome. Her wrestling is great once she gets you there. And she's vicious, man. She throws those elbows from the ground. She's not just like a lay and pray either. Like, she's got good control, but she can also finish you via ground strikes or submission. If this fight goes down to the ground, I think she's going to look like the minus, what is she, 300 right now? Minus 400 favorite. I think she's going to look like that, maybe even bigger, because that's the advantage she has on the ground compared to Andrade. If this stays on the feet, though, I think this is closer to a coin flip than what people think.
Oh, I mean, I'm on the latter side of that. I think that Andrade, she obviously will have a strength advantage over basically everybody in the division, and if Deivacious is going to need to, work or get her down and control her, it's going to be tough against somebody that's significantly stronger than you. So, I think the line is way too wide. I bet on Jessica Andrade to win the fight at plus 235. I'm going really, really light on Deivacious in DFS. I'm pouring it all into Sterling and BSD. And then Andrade, I played like 15 to 20%, but I'm almost outright fading Deivacious.
Yeah, see, you're like that. See, I'm just too stubborn when I love a fighter, and I just haven't been against Jasmine in a really long time. I've been on her through this kind of run that she's had pretty much, and a lot of wins. I just can't go against her now, but you're right. It does feel wide. It like just on the surface.
It's a really big line.
Yeah. Honestly, if I like Jessica, I'd be more apt to take the plus 600 that she knocks her out, because I think in a decision, I think it's going to be really hard for her to win, honestly, against Jasmine, because Jasmine's just so gritty. And so like, she's going to find a way to eke it out, I think, in a decision, even though it could be a split decision, like if it doesn't go to the ground. But I think she finds a way. I think Jessica's path is Jasmine brawling with her, which could happen, like very easily could happen. And she gets the knockout. So if I bet anything with Jessica, it might be a fun 6-1 KO prop or something like that. Just trying to hope maybe she catches her. But I'm going to be heavier than you on the Jasmine side for DFS, just in the hope she can get the wrestling and get those ground strikes going and just go to town with the ground strikes and maybe a submission late or something like that. So yeah, I'm a little higher than you on her. What are you getting in for DFS ownership? Because I assume you're going to have a decent amount considering you like Jessica.
I'm in like the low teens. Sorry, Andrade. Yeah. I'm between 15 and 20. Deivacious, I'm like 10. So it's just that fight will matter to me a lot, because if Deivacious is optimal, I'm going to be fucked. But that's just how it goes.
That's just how it goes. I mean, honestly, though, you just need 2 of those 9Ks to outscore. That's kind of what you hope for. And is that 2 of those. She can even have she can put up 104, but if Sterling puts up 120 and BSD puts up 120, then it doesn't fucking matter if she puts up 104 probably. So, yeah, that's kind of what you want with those 9K guys. Like I said, it sounds like you have Jazz as one of your lowest 9Kers. I have her as one of my highest. So we're kind of different there. We'll see what happens with that. Yeah, Kilo says Jess not winning in a decision in Canada. Probably not. Probably not. But that's the way it goes sometimes. Don't overthink it, JBC. Same thing with Jillian versus Marina last week.
I think that Jessica Andrade has significantly better takedown defense than Marina Rodriguez.
Well, you know why though, dude? Because she keeps her hands low. Because she just like
and she's strong. She's strong.
Yeah, she's strong, and she's like almost waiting for them to shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like she doesn't care. Like throw, you know what I mean? She doesn't care about that.
If they start throwing, she's just going to throw back, and that's
she
what
just starts swinging. Exactly. So she's like hoping you do that and not shoot. But if you shoot, her hands are right there to try and stop you, obviously. So, but the Jillian fight, Marina, she can't.
She's just terrible at defending takedowns.
How frustrating was it? I tried to tell you though, I was so frustrated with her 2 fights ago when I picked her. And she just couldn't stop. It's so frustrating when they just, it instantly too. After that second one, you're just like, nope, she can't do it. Chat's loving Jasmine. So we'll see what happens. I do agree with JVC. I said last week that Jillian she was going to roll. I didn't think Marina had a shot. I at least could see the path for Jessica because I know.
Did the winning lineup have Robertson last week?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think of who else. We had a few studs score really well, I think, JBC. Like a lot of that 9K range scored pretty good, if I remember correctly.
Well, Ian Gary was in the winner. Not Ian Gary. What fucking am I thinking of the right? No, Sandhagen. Sorry, Sandhagen.
Yeah, he was in the winner.
Sandhagen was in the winner. I'd have to.
I don't think she was. Was she? I don't think she was.
Off the top of my head, I don't think so, but could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was Sandhagen, and there was one other person we're missing who scored she still scored good though, is the point. She just wasn't.
Azamat scored really well.
Yeah, I didn't have him. Yeah, that's what screwed me.
It was Bukauskas and Sandhagen.
That makes sense. Yeah, they smashed. So all right, we'll see. The winner is still on top of the cheat sheet. She wasn't optimal, Big T said. So, okay, there you go. If you want to see the past winner, you can go check out the cheat sheet on the Rump Your Sports page, the MMA page. But, not optimal. Let's keep it moving, though. Another Canadian here. We got Mike Malott, 8,900 for Mr. Malott, coming off of a win against Trevin Giles, where Giles literally just stared at him kind of for 3 rounds, gave him a easy striking match. And it was very odd. Like he was connecting when he threw, but he wasn't throwing enough. And Mike Malott was just throwing a little more than him. Like he wasn't even throwing that much. He was just throwing a little more. And he won a decision, like kind of an easy decision. But when I watched that fight, I was like, to me, Trevin Giles lost that fight more than Mike Malott actually won the fight. That's just how I looked at it. I was just like, Mike Malott didn't do anything special. He just threw for every 1 strike Trevin Giles threw, he threw 2, kind of is what I kind of thought in my head. So it wasn't very impressive, at least for my standards and what I thought. But back Canada, Malott 8,900 versus Charles Radtke. Radtke 7,300, and he's had some up and down, starts here. Obviously, coming off the win against Semmelsberger was an early KO. Before that, losing to Carlos Prates, which
I don't know how much.
I don't know how much you want to ding him for that. Carlos Prates is pretty dangerous, but that body, that knee up the body was pretty nasty.
I've told this story before, but I was sitting next to Radtke's mother when that happened.
Oh my God! Did she scream?
She's crying.
Did she just go silent?
She's crying.
God.
It was.
Honestly, I don't blame her. Honestly,
I know.
I try and think my mom would totally cry if I was in there and I got.
My mom would try and storm the ring and attack the other person.
No, I think she'd attack them when they walked out. When they walk out of the cage, I think she'd jump the fence and start attacking them. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I don't blame her here, but. I will just say this. I do like Charlie Radtke at 7,300. I think, I don't know, his inside the distance numbers got to be decent for someone in the 7K range. I think his KO numbers in the 200s, JBC. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's in the 200. Yeah. And, he's plus 180 on the money line. He's plus 225 or whatever it is by KO. I do think if he wins, it's probably via the knockout, honestly, but he could squeak out a decision. I think it's more of a knockout spot for him, or he busts, but I like the dog here. I think plus 180. I think this line should be closer. Charlie Radtke might not be more talented than Mike Malott, but he's tough, and he's going to get in your face and stay there. And I know one thing about Mike Malott. He does not like it when people get in his face and make things uncomfortable. He wants to stay at kicking range and use his footwork or take you down. That's it. He does not want you to pressure him up against the fence. And that's what you need to do against Mike Malott. And I think he will do it. I think it gives him the best chance to win via the KO number. So I'm high on him as a dog. JBC, where are you at with this fight?
I actually like both sides for DFS. Radtke is certainly the best play beneath JDM at the bottom. So from the 7,400 down to Proplec range, Radtke would be the best play because the 225 inside the distance number, I mean, you're looking at him being a better inside the distance number than, Manon, Almacan, Bilal, Silva, Aldo. Like, he's a better inside the distance number than all those people, and he's down there at 7,300. So I think the upside is significant. It's going to be a 0 or 100 situation, I think. One of them is going to finish. As far as which one, I mean, I took Malott inside the distance at plus 140 just because I thought it was a little high, but I think we're going to get a finish. I would throw some weight behind both of them if I were you.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because I think like Charles Radtke is just going to force a finish one way or the other. Like he's not going to sit back and do what Trevin Giles did where he just like stared at him for 3 rounds. Like he's not doing that game. That's what Mike Malott kind of wants. Either that or a wrestle fuck match where he's just like owning you on the mat. He does not want you pushing him back and staying in his face. I think that's what he's going to do. So it's going to force a finish from one of these guys. So I kind of like it. If you like one of these guys, maybe take them inside the distance.
Under.
Or the under. Yeah, that's a good point too. Take the under and go from there. So I like that. We're split on the sides, but we do agree, I think, that Charles Radtke is probably the best DFS play at 7,400 or cheaper, right? JBC kind of in that range?
By far.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. JBC, your mom would 100% avenge you. That's from Adam. So there you go. I believe it. I believe she'd avenge you. But yeah, first time seeing JBC with no beard.
I mean, I do have a beard, but
yeah, but he means the full. Yeah. He means the full beard. It is a little shocking when you first see it, but once you get used to it, it's not as bad. It's kind of like me when I get my hair cut. I go from like just stupid, like I don't know what I'm doing, to just shave it all off, and you look like a different person. So, yeah, nice getting it shaved. I got I think a haircut appointment sooner than normal. I think I got one like next week. So, Big T, I'm getting back on that schedule. It's the summertime. Getting back on my my haircut schedule. All right, let's get to, I think, the easiest fight on the card when it comes to who you think wins and how, maybe, but like when is more the interesting point. BSD, Benoit Saint-Denis, 9,700 here on DraftKings, probably going to be one of the 2 most popular fighters on the card, like highest ownership wise. I would assume JBC is going to be right up there with the 5-round fighters, but maybe he's just below. I think he'll be right up there though. Against Kyle Proplec, 6,500. This dude is not very good. He has had a bunch of fights in his pro career, not in the UFC, but just pro career. He's had a bunch of fights. He hasn't fought very good competition. When he has stepped up in competition, he has lost a lot of those fights. He's not like one of those guys where I think Benoit's going to fear much coming back, which just spells complete danger for this guy when it comes to Benoit Saint-Denis, because I just don't think he has everyone was saying like after Benoit's last 2 fights, he might like fight a little different. He might fight a little calmer, maybe take it back a notch, JBC. I don't know if guys like him have that type of off switch. I think they just go. I don't think they care, honestly, who's in front of them. But that's my take here. What do you think with Benoit Saint-Denis?
Well, considering he spent the early half of his life going overseas and killing people, I don't think he has an off switch. The only question here is whether
when you put it that way, JVC, he definitely doesn't have an off switch.
The only issue is the 9,700 price tag, which I don't think is that big of a deal on this card when you've got Valentina, JDM, Radtke, Zahabi's live. You know, we spoke on Andrade, and Jung Young Lee is favored when he's under 8K. You know, I'm inclined to just jam almost all in on BSD. I think he gets it done fairly quickly.
Would you bet? Because I know the chat was talking about, you know, the first round difference.
I bet first round minus 110.
Yeah, the first round. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that too. Christina, I always saw the JVC tag on DK and legit thought it was Guy Ferrari. That's the whole point. I thought he was Guy Ferrari too until I met him and realized he was not. But that's the whole point of it. That's your
like, oh, you're your avatar, and then their avatar will be a dog. I'm like, did I think you were a dog?
Maybe. That's your alter ego right there. I'm not going away from it. So you're Guy Ferrari. So I'm here for JVC's contrarian takes. Yeah. Well, sorry, this isn't a contrarian take for this one.
I'm not. Nobody's ever called me contrarian before. That's the new one.
Yeah, that's.
Usually I get shock donkey.
No, normally I'll get the contrarian stuff too. That's normally what I'll get. It's like, but we always talk about it's like contrarian versus stupid. It's like, okay, sometimes I'm more on the stupid side. I know that, but like, it's fine.
You're not as bad as phallic.
JVC is like between chalk and somewhere in the middle of contrarian, but never like the stupid. I'm like definitely contrarian to the stupid side.
I don't let the chalk influence. If I think opposite of the chalk, I don't let it influence my opinion too much.
Correct. Whereas most people will just visibly see chalk and say, I can't play 60%, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no, wait, well, he's 60% for a reason. So if it's a good reason, you're in. It's kind
like,
of
I want to be over on Benoit Saint-Denis. I want to be, I do not want that to make me lose, being too light on Benoit Saint-Denis.
Yes, because when he goes out there and he does run through this guy in a minute, and you're like, fuck, I didn't jam him. Like, you know, I would say a lot of the guys that are like playing heavy, playing 150, I think a lot of people are going to have this same idea of like, just jam Benoit Saint-Denis. And so if you don't do that and he does this, you're going to be way far behind.
You're going to be fucked.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's like, it's like if you're fading Benoit Saint-Denis, there's a 50-60% chance that you're totally fucked, and then like an 80% chance that you're like pretty fucked, and then you're like looking in like a real thin window of not being fucked, and then there's another 5 to 6% where you had to have taken the other guy. You know, it's just
exactly. So you're really fucked.
Place to be.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely more in your camp of, do I just lock him like in all my teams and then just, you know, hope he gets the optimal, outscores the 9K.
77% right now on Saint-Denis.
Yeah. And what do we think he comes in at? 50, 55?
These guys usually come in between 50 and 60, but this is an egregiously high money line. I don't know. And people like Saint-Denis to begin with.
And I don't think the 9K range is as good as on other cards. Like,
correct.
Even though we like other fighters, I don't think, like, I don't think how close they are in comparison.
He's going to come in really high.
Yeah, he's going to be very high.
Like, if you're looking at like the higher stakes contests, I think anything over $1,000, he's 100% owned. And in the 555, the 555, I think he'll be 80 to 90.
Yeah, you'll get a couple. You'll get a few people.
It'll be like phallic not taking him, and that's it.
Yeah, because they know it's just like the leverage, like play, like don't play him, and you know.
But that's the thing; you can get leverage elsewhere. Just
you could get leverage.
The only thing about MME is if you end up in a situation where all the dogs lose, then he's not going to be optimal. Other than that, there's no real downside.
100%. Yeah. 100%. 69 is a lucky number. I agree. That'd be a good number. That means we'll ship if he's 69. So Phallic with 50% of Proplec. Yeah, I mean, I bet he'll have some of that guy. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he does have some of that guy. All right, that's enough of that. We both agree. Jam Benoit Saint-Denis. Let's go to the next fight here. Natalia Silva. I love Natalia Silva. 8,800 on DraftKings, minus 250 on DK Sportsbook against Alexa Grasso here, plus 200 on DraftKings, 7,400. JVC, former champ Alexa Grasso is a pretty good-sized dog against Natalia Silva, who I've talked about since I've seen her in the UFC, and she's awesome. Like her, honestly, it's not the best fighting style for DFS, but from just an MMA style, her footwork, her fight, like her kicks, her punches, she's very well rounded too. Like she does have an other game. Her game with her feet on the feet is just so good. I love her. She's tough to catch too. She's tough to like cut the cage off from because her movement is so difficult to stop. And I think Alexa Grasso, even though Grasso is good and she's got good boxing, I think she's just going to be tough to like find at times. And Silva's footwork and movement is going to frustrate someone like Grasso. So I'm on Natalia Silva. I mean, minus 250. I didn't bet her. I don't love the inside the distance because I think Grasso is pretty tough and she's shown, you know, she can be pretty durable even against like some of the top tier girls from like a finish perspective. But I do think that Natalia Silva wins, most likely a decision here. Where are you at?
I like Natalia Silva. I'm not real interested in the fight for DFS too much, but you spoke on the inside the distance number. I think plus 500 is nice for Natalia Silva. That is an
from a bet side. Yeah,
it's that is a super high number that I like a lot. So if you're looking for a long shot on this card, I would say Natalia Silva wins inside the distance plus 500 would be my favorite one.
And it's interesting too because Natalia Silva, like Grasso's coming off of 3 straight fights against Shevchenko, and it's a very different fighter than Shevchenko. Like very different.
This is like
style.
Old Shevchenko.
Yeah, exactly. Like not the Shevchenko she's been fighting. Like so this will be interesting watching this fight here because both girls are high level.
Crazy high.
I kind of like. I didn't bet that, but I do now that you say the number. I'm like, oh,
it's I do so love high. It's so high.
Damn it! Don't listen to him, John. Don't do it. I want to do it. I really want to do it. 500 is nice. God. And she does have that, like, she could throw one kick out there that Grasso just doesn't see, and she could go down. Like, She does have that type of, you know, deceptiveness with all her stuff that she throws. So I could see it. I could see the 500. I do think for DFS, though, probably DFS both girls pretty bad. Yeah, probably bad plays. But honestly, the next fighter, Jose Aldo, like, I think I prefer Natalia Silva, honestly.
Yes.
I don't like Jose Aldo either. So if you made me pick between like those two, which we'll talk about next, I think I'd be more on the Silva side. But that's the next fight. We've got Ayman Zahabi 7,200 on DraftKings versus Jose Aldo, 9K on DK Sportsbook. I think he's sitting at minus 190-ish here. Did not look good on the scales.
Look rough.
Jose Aldo. But I think they bumped the weight up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
they had him stop cutting, and Zahabi had already cut to 136, which is kind of annoying, but
yeah, it kind of sucks for him. But where are you at with Aldo and Zahabi? I mean, do you see a path for Zahabi here?
Yeah, I mean, Boynton, this is your plus 3.5. I don't think that Aldo is going to be able to finish him in any manner. And there could be some gassing. You know, he's not typically a gasser, but with the weight issues and his age, I don't like Jose Aldo at a minus 192 number or at 9K price. So Zahabi down there at 7,200. Obviously, he's not really a finisher, but I do like Zahabi in terms of being able to get to the end of the fight, keeping it close, maybe eking out a split decision. I think this fight will be pretty boring, like most Zahabi fights.
Yeah, I think this fight might be like the Jonathan Martinez fight a little bit.
I did bet on Zahabi. I bet on Zahabi.
You did bet on Zahabi. I mean, I think Jose Aldo wins a decision, but I could see Zahabi winning a round. That wouldn't shock me at all. I just think at the end of the day, Jose Aldo, I mean, he's Jose Aldo, but like he's also more dangerous than Zahabi. Like he's still, people don't want to. Mario Batista didn't want to strike with him. That's when when he's just holding you at his kind of his.
I'm worried about the weight. I'm worried about the weight cut and how he looked. It was bad.
Yeah. How old do you think he actually is? He looks pretty old on his scale. He's got to be. I did bet Aldo by decision, but I do get what JBC's saying. From a DFS side, are these guys just full fades, or are you going to play a little Zahabi just because you bet him?
I have some Zahabi because of how cheap he is. I think it's a similar play to Uzlan and Andrade. They all go in the same bucket for me. They're all significantly worse than Radtke, but I'm playing them all like between 10 and 15.
I mean, like Uzlan, Andrade, Zahabi. I think I'd have Zahabi ranked third of those three. I think I'd have it like either.
I think his finishing upside is lower, but his finishing upside is lower, but he has a better chance of winning. So if you get a situation where all the dogs lose and he wins, then he's going to be optimal by default if BSD gets like 140. So I'm mixing him in. I don't like it a lot. I think I think it's going to be a low scoring fight, not tons of interest, but I have a lot. I have Aldo. I have like very little, like single digits.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have like none of these guys. So if this fight wins, then I will not be on the winner if this fight wins. So hoping for a dud in the Aldo Zahabi fight. To the final two fights on the card, Manon Fiorot, first fight here, 8,500 for Fiorot versus Valentina Shevchenko, 7,700 for Shevchenko. A slight underdog for Shevchenko here. We're getting a little underdog pricing on Valentina, JBC. I did not actually see which side you were on for this fight, or I forget. So I'm interested to hear who you like. I'm on the Valentina side. I just see that plus money on Valentina, and I can't help myself. Fiorot is obviously a really good fighter. She's super strong, but Valentina, the one thing that makes me feel a little more comfortable from like Manon's last fight where she fought Aaron Blanchfield, and she did dominate the fight. I'm not saying she didn't dominate the fight, but she had so much an advantage in the striking. The speed in which Aaron Blanchfield throws her strikes is not very good. She had a huge advantage there. And she was just kind of like waiting for Aaron to blitz in, because that was her only path, was just like blitzing in, and she would just catch her. It was a very good fight for Manon. She obviously fought good. But this is different.
I was at that one too. But I was on the floor, so I could hardly see, because it's like when you're in like the 6th or 7th row, you can't like.
Yeah, you can't, because you're flat pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Like with But this is different because I think Valentina has a chance to get her down because she can at least set up her strikes where Aaron couldn't do that. Manon was never afraid of what she was throwing. She couldn't set up her strikes to get a takedown or to get a chance at it. And she wasn't as strong as Valentina. I think Valentina's more, she's got more strength, and she can set up her takedowns with kicks and punches. That gives her an advantage to possibly get this to the ground a little bit, just so she's not striking for 5 rounds with Manon. So I lean the Valentina side. I do think this is a decision fight, though. So this fight probably going to the cards. Both these girls are tough. I don't really see a finish. Who do you like here?
I'm with Valentina. I don't think that Manon, I do not think her defensive grappling is going to be good enough to stop. Valentina has basically become a grappler at this point in her career, which is a crazy innovation. But I don't see a way that Manon's going to be able to stay off her back. And, Valentina could go sub hunting if she really wanted to. But I kind of see this as a wrestle fuck, and I think you're getting significant value on her as an underdog, as always. You think, oh, Manon's an up-and-coming fighter, Valentina's old, but that's just not the case. Manon's 35, Valentina's 37. Not a big age discrepancy. Valentina, for as much as, we want to say, oh, she's been in so many fights, she hasn't really taken a lot of damage. So I don't see her aging very poorly. She's made a lot of adjustments in her game. I like Valentina to win.
Who doesn't want to be rich, Jason? I think we all want to be rich. I like it. I'll shove in a little bit. I like being rich. JBC, you want to be rich? Look at that. Shove all in.
Do
all
I
in
want
on Valentina? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you like being rich? You want to keep being rich? Do you want to be richer, JBC? How about that? All right, so we're both on the same side here. What's your split for DFS?
Vip, hold on, Vip. We're about to talk about a Catholic. We're about to talk about one.
Oh God, what's your split on Manon and Valentina from a DFS
70-30-ish.
70-30-ish. Okay,
which is heavy for a dog, yeah. But again, because it's because of Benoit Saint-Denis, it fucks everything up.
I mean, and she's 7,700 too. That price tag is for her upside. That's insane. Like if she wins, I struggle to not see her on the winner, but who knows? We'll see. I kind of like a few props when we get to the pick six side on her, but let's go to the last fight here on the card. Belal Muhammad, 8,700 on DraftKings versus Jack Della Maddalena, 7,500 on DK. Della Maddalena sitting at, I think, like plus 155, plus 160 on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. JBC, I feel like a lot of people are on Belal. Obviously, he was a big dog against Leon Edwards. People love Leon, and he won pretty convincingly, even though like there were a couple spots where he looked like he could have been in some danger, but he still won that fight, showed that he was good. His boxing looked pretty good. I don't think people saw his boxing playing like that big of a role in a win, and it kind of did because it set up a lot of those takedowns here. That's my one problem is I do think he's going to be able to take Jack Della Maddalena down, but he is not very dangerous on the ground, Belal. And so I don't think Maddalena's going to fear kind of him on the ground, and he's just going to try and get up. Like he's going to like do stupid things, which maybe could catch him, obviously. But I think he's just going to be overly aggressive getting up because he doesn't fear Belal on the ground, and just kind of be a little reckless, but just to get back to his feet. And eventually Belal's going to get tired. This is just my opinion, but he's not Merab. Like Merab is one of one. He can't just spam 40 takedowns. Like he's going to get tired if he does that. He's got to set some of these takedowns up like he did in the last fight where he would back Leon up against the cage before he'd even shoot a lot of those takedowns, right? He would back him up with his boxing. I don't know if he's going to be able to back Jack up with his boxing. Jack's got amazing boxing of his own. So it's a really interesting fight. And I'm on the Jack side from a betting side. From a DFS side, Belal's got more upside because he's got the takedown advantage. He could have 8+ takedowns in the spot, but I'm betting the Jack Della Maddalena side. I like him here. I don't know if he gets the finish. If he does, I think it's late. I think if he gets the finish, it's in the 4th or 5th round where Belal gets tired from pushing the takedowns, and then Jack starts to piece him up from there. So that's where I'm at with this fight, heavier on the Jack side. Which side are you on?
So you spoke about that's funny. You said a lot of people were on the Belal side. Well, last fight everybody was on fucking Leon, and I had Belal and he won. I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to win this fight. Again, I don't see him fearing anything from Belal on the feet. Leon is low volume, so unless he's going to hit you with one shot, there's nothing really to be afraid of as far as, mid-round, like getting peppered. Della Maddalena is a completely different striker. And I think it is worse for Belal than Leon is. like it's a worse matchup for him. And yeah, I think he wears him down and knocks him out 3rd or 4th round. And Jack Della Maddalena is going to be the champion. Fucking crazy.
It's going to be crazy if he does that. And I do think that's probably what happens. I know that Matty Ice, JSU, it goes to a decision. We're getting Bilal victorious so he can get Ilya.
Nope, you're getting fucking Islam and Jack Della Maddalena.
Unfortunately, I want Ilya Islam so bad, JBC. I want this fight because
Islam does not want this fight.
Because everyone will be on Islam, and I'm telling you right now, Topuria is the one guy that Islam does not want to see, and Islam's he knows it.
Bigger than him, though.
He knows it, though, dude. Topuria was literally. Did you see him post the thing adding Islam as he was doing his little like fight stuff, and he added Islam and was.
It's suspect timing for Islam to decide he wants to move up when his training partner is the champion, saying it ahead of time.
Yes. And then also on top of it, though, he comes out after and says, I will not vacate the belt. So you're going to just go up and fight, hold on to the belt, make those guys fight like a #1 contender, probably fight. And then after like a year and a half.
He's using a beat for leverage.
Yeah, maybe that's it, I guess. I wish that hopefully that we can get both because I'm betting Jack Della Maddalena, but I know it's going to happen. If he wins, we're not getting the Topuria Islam fight, and it's going to suck.
Topuria and Charles will be fun.
No, it'll be fun. I just think the line will be heavy Topuria, whereas the line of versus Islam would be heavier on the Islam side.
Oh, and Islam would be laying huge because he's so much bigger than him.
And I think I could get a big number on Topuria.
It'd be a fat number.
And I would bet, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't, from a betting side, I don't like the Oliveira line as much as I would like the Topuria versus Islam line. So, yeah, that's it. Whatever. We're both on the same side of this fight. Very nice. Let's pull up the old pick six. We'll do a little pick six action before we get out of here. And let me get my screen share going for this. All right. So JVC, we got to get 6 picks here. I'll start it off here, and then you can let me know where you want to go from here. Because I saw this line, Valentina Shevchenko control time, 2.5 minutes. She gets 1 takedown. She might get that. So we're going more on the Valentina Shevchenko control time, over 2.5. JVC, where do you want me to go here? We got fantasy points, takedowns, fight time.
I'm clicking through here on mine. Let's go to strikes.
Okay.
And we're going to go Marc-Andre Barriault over 43.5.
I like it. Marc-Andre Barriault over 43.5. I'm going to go to fight time here next. And I think we were on the same side with this one, but the Jung Lee Santos fight, we're going to go less than 11.5 minutes of fight time here. We're going to go under on that. Let's see, JVC, you see anywhere else fight time wise?
Yeah, Navajo Sterling under.
I knew you were going to like that. That's why I asked it. I was like waiting for you to say it. I was like, that's the one he's definitely going to like here. All right, 2 more here. Let's see. I'm going to go to fantasy points, see if there's anything that I like from the
Benoit, dude, Benoit.
What? Do you want to go over on
104.5 over.
You want to go over on that?
Over on Benoit, yeah.
Okay, we'll go over on Benoit. And then who do I want to go for our last? Valentina at 70.5 is kind of interesting. Kind of like Katona over 59.5. He almost got that in a decision loss, didn't he?
Yeah. But Della Maddalena at 61 is also good.
The over on Della? Oh yeah, that is nice too. All right, break the tie, JVC. You like both guys. Who's the better one?
I think JDM because it's got 5 rounds.
Okay. All right. Let's go JDM then. We'll go more on his 61.5 fantasy points. All right. So here is The 6, we've got Valentina Shevchenko over on control time. Marc-Andre Barriault over on significant strikes. Jung Young Lee under on fight time, 11.5 minutes. Navo Sterling fight or under on fight time, 10.5 minutes. Benoit Saint-Denis over 104.5 fantasy points. And Jack Della Maddalena over on 61.5 fantasy points. That is our pick 6. Over on DraftKings pick 6. I do think they have a nice little boost too. Yeah, 30% boost up to $25 for me. So, whoops, did that wrong. So put in your amount here, and then make sure you get that boost. Bang, we got the boost good. And then we'll click enter. Boom. All right, I'll post that on Twitter after the show. That is our pick. Love it. All right, JBC, let's give a favorite bet before we get out of here. I hit Miss Juliana Miller at 2-1 plus 200 last week as my favorite bet, so I'm going to try and get another underdog bet. Do you have a favorite bet for the people?
All right, we're doing underdogs. We're doing anything.
Well, you can do whatever your favorite bet is.
I'll go with 2. Jung Young Lee minus 148 money line. And then the big dog would be Natalia Silva inside the distance plus 500.
Ooh, that's a big. I wasn't even go that far. You just went way over me. I'm gonna go with. Well, everyone already knows that I'm battling with Big T for the Brad Katona Almacon fight, so I might as well stick with that at plus 130 as my underdog pick here. Brad Katona over on DraftKings Sportsbook plus 130. I do like that fight a lot. I would be heavy on that fight here for betting. I love where we're at, JBC. Definitely enjoyed the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Hit the like button on the video if you did indeed enjoy it. And check us out over at runpuresports.com. RPS 15. We're rolling right now. All the sports. Obviously, MMA today. We've got NASCAR throughout the weekend. MLB's been rolling. The NBA playoffs haven't stopped. I got to throw my core up real quick. So anyone looking for that, I'm going to throw my core up real quick. But we got the content. Check us out. RPS 15. If you want 15% off your first month or week over at Run Pure Sports, use that code RPS 15 and get it. Make sure you join the Discord and come hang out with us, talk shit with us, make fun of my plays or Tony's plays. Not JVC's plays, but, you can make fun of me, Tony, and Phallic, and call us donkeys if you would like. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. JVC, final words before we get out.
Jack Della Maddalena, new Pope, Catholic. He's fighting a Muslim guy. It's his time.
I knew there had to be some backstory with him anyways. I knew you were going to go with something like that. So it's time. JDM, it's his time. I love it. Let's ride with it. Hope you guys get a lot of winners today over on DraftKings. Check out DraftKings, DK Sportsbook. Their pick 6. Go check out pick 6. And I posted this over here. I'll post it in our chat and on Twitter. Hope you guys win some money tonight for JBC and myself. We'll see you guys later. We're out.